All right, welcome back to Blue by the Numbers. I'm Tanner, joined by Brian. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Feels good coming off of a solid win on the road and get back on track a little bit and heading to Dubai
Yeah,
with the W. It feels good.
yeah. I
How are
said this
you?
on our. I'm good, man. It was a good weekend. Nice to see Michigan get it done in a game that 3-point differential never felt that close. So some self-inflicted wounds. Justin and I did the Blue by 90 podcast on Monday morning. Got that out on YouTube. So if you haven't watched that, go check that out. But I made the point: if you came to me late August and said, "Look, Michigan's going to lose a game before the bye, all right? They're going to be 3-1, but they're going to lose a game. Which would you prefer for them to lose?" And I would probably take the Oklahoma game because it's a Big Ten
100%.
game. Right? This is a
Right.
Big Ten win. You're 1-0 in the conference. This sets you up now. We looked at the schedule. Outside of USC, there's no ranked opponents until the Buckeyes come to town on November 29th. So this schedule sets up for a team that feels like they're ascending and built off of that loss against Oklahoma, took what they did against Central Michigan and kind of built upon it against Nebraska. So I think you're at a point where it's early, but you can kind of start projecting out a little bit. Like if this team continues to improve, some of the adjustments they've made defensively with moving Barham to edge, the kind of arrival of Cole Sullivan, Derek Moore, Rayshon Benny, these guys starting to play the way we thought they would. You're starting to look at a team that, with a true freshman quarterback who's only going to get better, and a run game that seems to just pop explosives at the flip of a coin.
I really do.
You're starting to think, okay, right? Because a lot of the comparisons to this team coming in were to the 2021 Michigan team that went 12-2, went to the playoffs, won the Big Ten, beat Ohio State, right? And a lot of people, I remember seeing this specific comment: if Bryce can just be as good as 2021 K, if you put 2025 Bryce Underwood on that 2021 team, I don't know if they beat Georgia, but I don't think they lose a regular season game.
No.
So I think you have a quarterback who is on the rise, who's going to continue to get better. Despite his stats, I thought Bryce Underwood played really well. His receivers did not help him. McCulley tried to. Heck of a catch by McCulley, but you have a drop touchdown. You've got a couple other drops underneath that maybe would have extended some drives. What were your thoughts on Bryce in another true road environment? Coming off the Oklahoma game to now, I think he made some big jumps, in my opinion.
You know what? I'm very happy with where he's at. I don't think we've seen that freshman moment yet, and I hope we don't. But he never looks panicked. He never, it seems like the offense operates really well. There's never seems like, I shouldn't use the word never, but almost never. Do you see pre-snap issues where he's struggling to get the play in when they have to audible? He gets everybody in the right spot. Seems composed. Doesn't. I mean, have we had to delay a game penalty yet this year? Maybe we have, but I don't think, it just seems like he's operates the offense well. And then, everything breaks down, he's always turn him into positive plays, but he doesn't do that dumb stuff that so many young veteran quarterbacks do, try to do too much when it's not there. Like, I don't mind him running for a 1 yard loss or a 2 yard gain as opposed to throwing it into triple coverage. And, we saw he did that a game ago, but I think all in all, people that are wanting his stats, and anyone that listened to our podcast last week, I said, hey, don't look for him to have big stats next week because they're going to run like crazy. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, over, what was it, 300 yards rushing in this game. So he's not going to put up big stats, but I thought he managed the game really well. And you take away, the few drops in that game, bad drops, in my opinion, and his stat line looks a whole lot better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought he made some big time throws. That throw to Channing Goodwin. I'm very much catch the ball. It would have been a great catch. I mean, it would have been had to have been a fingertip grab, but you got to help your quarterback out there. I mean, he puts it on the money. I don't think I want him throwing any other type of football right there. I thought that was a great throw.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been 6. Samaj had a drop. Samaj did have some moments, especially in that last drive or that last real drive that Michigan had that went like 9 minutes, 16 plays, where he makes a guy miss, gets a first down. So you have no Hogan Hansen, which we talked about before the game. We texted each other. That I think is maybe your best hope for an outside receiver. I know he's a tight end, but I think that's your best hope for an outside guy to emerge this year, along with Andrew Marsh. Because I think at this point, I'm not giving up on these guys, but I just think, I don't know. I mean, you got to hit the jugs machine. You can't keep dropping balls and ruining drives, right? Like, that is a problem that Michigan has continued to face this year. And, Bryce hasn't been 100% perfect, but been damn close. I mean, he rarely does he throw a ball that I don't feel is going to be completed. So
right.
I think you've got to help your freshman out. And I think that's the one weakness on this team, that if they were able to go into the portal last year and get, 3 top 50 portal receivers, I think this team is a lot more dangerous. Alas, that did not happen. But I think, to your point, the run game is certainly going to help that. 31 carries, 290 yards, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Bad. It's not bad. So,
yeah, I think the receiving. I mean, I think the fan base is in consensus on the biggest struggle with this team being the receivers. It's a really tough thing to disagree with. I do think I am not in the camp that many people that I associated with on Samaj Morgan. I think he's one of the more polarizing guys of the last 10 years of this fan base. I think, he played 38 snaps against Nebraska. Between the tight ends and wide receivers, only McCulley played more. I think the Samaj Morgan that really helps our team is like fifth in snaps, and we use him specifically in the role that he thrives in. That those screen passes and that third down that he made the guy miss and almost ran over that dude. Like, he has his moments. So I think he has a lot of value. I just don't think he's an every down type guy. And it appears like Marshall, the coaches are comfortable with throwing swing passes to Marshall and to Haynes. And so if they're comfortable throwing those passes to them, that decreases Samaj's role even more. So I think, if he plays 38 snaps Saturday, I think a better number for the overall success of the team and maybe even his own individual success is more like 26, 27, right? And bring Marsh back. I think we've talked about before, in the slot, depending on situations, he can play the slot and so can Hogan Hansen. It's a different look, but in that slot. And I think that change of pace can serve this offense a lot of good, because I feel like when everything breaks down, a big target like Hogan Hansen or Marlon Klein or someone like that, really helps us out. And then as it comes, and then Channing Goodwin, he's a prototype. I mean, he's kind of a prototype type wide receiver. I don't watch it closely enough and haven't broke down the tape well, but I know everyone raves about his route running. He's the best route runner on the team. So let's just say that's true. I haven't studied it enough to know, but, and he's 6'2", he's got good hands. Like he gets good blocking grades from PFF. He just needs to catch the damn ball, and he's got to be as frustrated, but he's a young guy. If you have a guy that's blocking well, runs the right routes, you got to hope that comes.
Yeah, turn that jugs machine up to 100%, right? Like throw that thing at 80 miles an hour. I don't know how fast you get up to nowadays,
I'll come up.
It's kind of like a guard, getting a crossover, getting to the rim, and just missing a bunny, right? Like that's what it feels like, because he does a great job on that corner route in the end zone. Needs to catch. I mean, again, it would have been a great catch, but he did everything. Finish the play, and it's 6 points for your team, and you're on your way, right? So. Yeah, I think I think Marsh has to come through, right? I think you need Marsh to grow up. I don't think he played much on offense. He played on special teams. I don't know. I'm not looking at him right in front of me. You might have him, but I don't know how many snaps.
Played 10 snaps.
Yeah, and Michigan had what, 60 something snaps?
We had 56 offensive snaps.
56, yeah. So
26 pass, 30 run.
Yeah, so he's in there, once every 5-6 plays. So you kind of need him to continue to develop. I think this is a big week, and we're going to have a show next week to talk about what we want to see coming out of the bye week, especially against a bad Wisconsin team. And it's they might have a coach when they come to Ann Arbor, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. And I think with the younger players, you'll probably see that too, right? Like, this is typically under Jim Harbaugh. I don't know for Sharon, but under Jim Harbaugh, there was a lot of scrimmages for the young guys, right? Like, you're getting live action against a lot of the younger guys, giving your starters a break, letting them get back physically, getting back their health a little bit. It's a long season. Does Michigan have 2 bye weeks? Are we in a 2 bye week
Yes.
environment now?
Yes.
I think that's probably going to be pretty consistent moving forward. So,
Yep.
you have another opportunity to. I think it probably works out perfect. I don't know when their second bye week is, but in the NFL, you hate getting the week 5 bye. But I think right now this team's banged up.
I think it's perfect time for the bye, man.
Yeah, and then you get another one later on in the season. So I think that's going to be a good thing for this Michigan team. So yeah, man, offensively, there was some drives that petered out a little bit, but I really liked what I saw, man.
Well, and I mean, I felt like I think I texted, you had some stuff going on, but I texted you and my friends like that first. I thought Chip Lindsey had just a master class of play calling in that first half. I mean, if we were picking on Samaj a little bit earlier, but probably his biggest problem in that whole game is he's no Donovan Edwards, right? Like he's out gets to throw the pass, and McCauley is as open as anybody could ever be. And like you'd think, like you're a Division I scholarship athlete, dude. Like, and you practice that play, you can't throw it anywhere near him, But I love the play calling. I mean, your point about the offense kind of, going, and they're going to get better. Bryce is going to get more comfortable. The receivers are going to gel. Hopefully, Browder, Washington. Who am I forgetting?
You got Marion Stewart from last year.
Yeah, right.
I haven't heard a P. I
don't know. And Anthony Simpson, they said had a great camp, right? So like.
Yeah, he's a guy who in 2023 had like 900 yards for UMass. I mean, a different competition level, but man, you'd think he'd be able to contribute.
Yeah. Respectfully, Frederick Moore and Kendrick Bell played a ton of snaps for us last year and weren't that effective. If we come back and they're the guys at the top of the depth chart, that's a problem, right? Like we have more talented guys in the roster. So, if all due respect to those guys, if those guys are playing a bunch of snaps, that's not good for us.
No, we need somebody to emerge. Man, if we were able to see Michigan have a true number 2 wide receiver opposite McCauley, I think McCauley could have 1,000 yards this year because he is playing some really good football. For all the negatives I said about the wide receiver core so far, McCauley is not that. I think he has been better than advertised, but I think defenses are able to really just bracket him and take him out. And then it's like, all right, well, this guy might not catch the football. Even if Bryce gets it to him, he may not catch the ball. We're going to get off the field.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to throw enough for any of our receivers to get 1,000 yards, but he's got 200 through 4 games, so he's going to have to get on a torrid pace. But
that's what I'm saying, though, because if he had somebody take the pressure off him in the pass game, because Michigan has thrown it an average of 25 times a game so far, give or take, right? Yeah. So that's more than Michigan's thrown it historically. Maybe I'm off there. I don't know what they did with JJ, but certainly compared to last year. Throwing it a lot more and able to keep defenses honest a little bit. So yeah, I just think if Hogan Hansen again, because if those guys can be healthy, him and Klein, because Klein can be your inline tight end, and Marshall did flash a little bit. I thought in the game, I don't remember any run blocking pluses or if they ran the ball with him in there, but he did have a catch on a crosser. He caught the ball, so that's a plus. But I think you can probably just I think Hansen being lining up around the outside and the perimeter is probably going to be your best bet to have a true number 2 outside guy opposite of McCauley. Mm-hmm. Because we've seen Hansen be able to do that even as a true freshman when he wasn't playing a ton until the Ohio State game. We saw it against Central Michigan. That was did he play against Oklahoma? Maybe a little bit.
Hansen? No. I have it right here. That was week 2, right?
Yeah. Either way, I think he's a guy that unfortunately hasn't got a lot of snaps this year. Yeah, but he was limited.
Yeah, he was limited. Snaps.
Yep. Played a lot more against Central Michigan. Had some nice catches. He had the
big catch on third down.
I guess a wheel route. Climb the ladder. We talked about it last week. So I think Hansen is more of your route running tight end. He's not Colson Loveland, but I think he can be Colson Loveland light in terms of you can line him up at different spots. Again, I think him or Marsh. Ideally, both happen because then if both, then you're looking at all right. Well, now we've got 3 guys that can line up outside that we know we can get the ball to, and then again, Goodwin and Samaj can still be guys that could be sprinkled in there. I like the ball in Samaj's hands. He's a playmaker.
Sure.
Got to get there first, all right. Just like the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, he drops a slant. He has a drop on another play. Goodwin has, I think, 1 or 2 drops. So, and we've already seen the drop issues with Fred Moore this year. That's why he hasn't been getting a lot of burn. So, yeah, maybe Anthony Simpson in the bye week, in one of these scrimmages turn some heads. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like in practice, or they're playing these guys for a reason. But I think the way this offensive line's coming along, the way the run game's coming along, Bryce is getting better. I really don't think he's been overwhelmed. I know Oklahoma was a tough outing, but they're doing that to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
They're doing that to a lot of older quarterbacks. So I don't know how much of that I'm putting on Bryce Underwood. I just feel like this offense is close to, and again, they scored 30 points, but had an opportunity to score even more. And they're close, but and maybe this is just something they've got to recruit the problem. Like, you got to go and spend some money. I told Justin this though earlier. I think that price tag's coming down for these receivers to come play at Michigan. You're not going to have to pay them an exorbitant amount of money to get them to play with Bryce Underwood. They may drop their asking price a little bit because this kid's, I mean, again, I'm so impressed with him. I think the future is very, very bright. I just don't know if it's going to be resolved this year.
Yeah, well said. The one thing that always gives me optimism is, there's a lot of people that get in front of a microphone and are paid to give opinions, and you hear what they say and you think they're morons. But it seems like every former quarterback I see talk about Bryce talks about how special he is, and I put a lot of stock in that. If you're a talking head that sits behind, and doesn't know a whole lot about football other than you watch it every week and you're paid to talk about it a little bit, and you're critical. Not that I've really heard anyone be critical about Bryce, but it seems like every quarterback or quarterback guy out there just raves about him, right? And so that validates what I believe I'm seeing, right? Like, I believe I'm seeing something special. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit for him, and I think. Trust is a big thing in football and in everything. And I feel like if you're the play caller, and I don't think it's on Bryce, it's the drops, it's running the wrong routes. Early in the game, that long pass down the sidelines where McCulley and Goodwin are standing right next to each other on that deep ball, like, that wasn't in the route tree. That wasn't in the play design. And so, I think one of the things holding back this passing game is that trust word. And I really don't think the trust issue is with Bryce. I think a little bit is, the moving around of the offensive linemen and not trusting them to really hold up for 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds so they can make a play. Clearly, guys aren't running the wrong routes. We have 4, 6, 9 drops already this year. That's a lot in 4 games.
I think it's 11. I think PFF credits 11 or
9 in wide. Yeah, not 11. 9 from the wide receivers, 2 from the tight ends. I was only.
Okay.
And no, 1 from a running back, 1 from a tight end, and 9 from the wide receivers. But in any case, I think that trust issue they have to resolve, right? And I feel like the offensive line here, even in our tough years, does get better over the year. We should get El Hadi back. I don't know if he'll be back after the break. Sounds like he was banged up pretty good, but I thought the guys played pretty good against Nebraska. I thought they played, not amazing, but
there were some amazing moments.
There were some amazing moments.
Jordan Marshall's touchdown. I touched on this earlier, but Greg Crippen, on that stretch play, he crosses over, gets to the defensive tackle, and then he gets him out of the way, and then he's off to the linebacker. Well, the other backside player, I don't know if it's a backer or a safety or what, is coming, and he just runs into the Nebraska player that Crippen's blocking. So he essentially gets 3 guys on one block, on one play, and Marshall's gone. And then on Haynes' 75-yarder, they run a stunt, and he crosses over to the left side, and he picks him up, takes him completely out of the play, and then Haynes is one-on-one with a safety who got benched after, by the way, Marcus Buford, and he just little hesitation and gone. And so there's been a lot of people, even leading up to this game and even after the game, they're like, well, if you just take away the 300 yards that have been in explosive plays, and Michigan's run game is not that good. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Explosives are baked into offenses, man. It happened.
Dumbest thing ever.
At this point, Michigan has been consistent getting explosives through 4 games.
Right.
Every single game they've had multiple explosive plays in the run game. Now it's a pattern, right? It's not just a coincidence or Michigan got lucky because they're playing X, Y, and Z. And I know Nebraska is not a great rush defense by any stretch of the word or the term, but I think when you look at the way Michigan's been able to, Haynes is a home run hitter. We're finding out.
Yeah,
I mean, he's 3rd in the country. I don't
quite
think you can take it away. You cannot take it
away.
That's built in.
You can take it away.
That's what Chip Lindsey wants. And when your offensive line blocks it to perfection, and instead of going on a 10-play 75-yard drive, you're going to 1-play 75-yard drive.
I mean, it's just so dumb. Like, it's Tom
Brady. By the way, I thought
Tom Brady's record-setting year. Let's take away all his plays to Randy Moss, and it wasn't that good of you.
Yeah, well,
It's like,
exactly.
Come on. So dumb.
So I think if you look at Saturday too, caveats apply. I mean, I think Cincinnati had a lot of success. We talked about that a little bit, or at least I did on some of the other shows I was on this week. Last week was a busy week, man. We had multiple podcasts. We had our show. We were on our friends at No Block No Rocks live show. And like the thing that I just, they're not a good rush defense. Right?
Yeah,
like we've established that. But I think you saw there were multiple times where Michigan had to have it third downs or plays in that game where, Jordan Marshall, I guess it was a first down, so it wasn't a had to have it. But, Jordan Marshall's got a guy draped over him, arms are wrapped around him. Afobe keeps blocking. I think Jay Dew pointed this out on Twitter. We always shout out Jay Dew. His recaps are awesome. Former Michigan player. The guy's awesome. Great guy. Go follow him on Twitter. 100%. But he keeps blocking, and that allows Marshall to get a stiff arm and bounce off and, get 8 yards instead of 2. Or, that last drive, was it Marshall in it at the end of the game, or was it Haynes? I can't recall. 22 and 23 is tough, and I'm watching it on a phone at a wedding. And I watched the replay a couple of times, but not as intently focused as I would be during the actual game. Either way, bounce outside, make a guy miss. Haynes had the run on the screenplay on 3rd and 9 that ended up getting Michigan a first down. He broke I don't know if it was a broken tackle, but he got out and he got the first down.
He made a great move.
3rd and 10. 3rd and 10 had to have it. Nebraska thinks, man, Michigan's probably going to throw this. Nope. And the blocking on that's another one that Dew posted from the backside of the play. You can just see the blocks develop. I mean, Samaj is getting his nose in there, and then I think Crippen comes and helps him. And I mean, Haynes almost busted that thing for about a 45-yard touchdown. Instead, sets it up at the 20. Next play, Bryce, I think, is the quarterback power to the bottom side of the field. He gets a first down, gets a stiff arm in. I mean, that should have been a 15-play, however many yards plus to the goal line, because that should have been a touchdown on that 3rd and goal with Bryce. Bryce didn't see that he had the pylon, but Link completely whiffed. And that's one negative from that game that was like, how did you miss this block? Because Bryce should have scored that. It would have been the most manliest man ball drive of all time, at least that I had seen in a long time. But Michigan kicked their ass up and down that field in the last drive.
Yeah.
And it wasn't explosives.
Yeah, I've seen that play like 5 times now, and 2 things can be true. Link totally whiffed, and Bryce, if he was just a little bit patient, walks in. Like, he doesn't have to be Superman. He just needs to let that block come and just keep working the pylon. He had 10 yards to the boundary there. But, that was a great drive. I said, the people I was watching the game with, I'm like, we need like a 10-12 play, 6-7 minute drive here. And that's exactly what we got. It just
can I interest you in a 16-play, 9?
Yeah, right.
Like how frustrating that was 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Infinitely just
great.
The best as a football fan when, Michigan did that to Ohio State in 2023, right? It wasn't to make it a 2-score game, but it did make them have to drive the field and go down and score. And Michigan, they took like 6 minutes. I think Ohio State got the ball 50 seconds left. So, when you have those opportunities to close out a game, that's the boa constrictor. Yeah. Right. That's what Joel Klatt talks about. That's imposing your will on another team. And there's nothing that Nebraska can do about it. They got Michigan into third down to go situations. They were 1 of 10 at that point, or 1 of 9. And guess what? They got 3 in a row on a had to have it drive to close that game out. Because it's 30-20. You score with a minute left. I don't care. Michigan's getting the onside. You're not getting the onside. You're not doing a Colorado. You're not getting a Hail Mary. We'll talk about that. The game's over. It's a garbage time touchdown. Don't care. Michigan goes down, kicks your ass up and down the field, gets a field goal, and the game's over.
Game over, yeah. I was impressed. I mean, I felt like big players made big plays, whether it was Samaj or Justin Haynes. And, the one thing that at the end of the game, the play that sealed it, the Jordan Marshall run, he could still be running.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was such I don't know if touchdown, because it's always hard to tell where the angles are at, but I mean, he'd run for another 20.
You got to think, because they probably were, if you go back and look, they probably got 11 guys within 10
yards. I'd love to see like
y'all
22 on that,
Yeah. He probably could have scored, but you know what? Yeah. Team play, right? Go in, get the kneel downs, get out of there with a win. One thing that I will say too about Bryce Underwood, because you wonder, 12-22, 105 yards, has a rushing touch. We even talked about his touchdown, by the way. 21 miles an hour, 21.3. Yeah. Just 0.2 of a second slower than his teammate Justice Haynes on the 75-yarder. I don't know. I don't know what you say about that. Great play design on his draw right after the pick, which we'll talk about it on the defensive side. Marshall goes in motion. They bring somebody down to blitz. That other backer goes with him, and it was just, it's a different play because it was a scramble, but the Red Sea parted just like it did in 2023 and JJ ran it right up the middle. It was the same look, just a different play call. One was design, one was a scramble. But man, Bryce, I'll tell you what, the moment Bryce hit 5 yards, that's a touchdown. He's gone. I knew he was athletic, Brian. That's a different element.
Real Analytics is a good Twitter follow, but every week they break down the fastest top end speeds in the nation. And Justice Haynes was number 4 and Bryce was number 6 at 21.5 and 21.3 miles an hour. That's moving, and typically you don't think of a 6'4" quarterback doing that or, a running back. It's typically a wide receiver or a corner or a punt returner or something that puts on the burners on that. I think Ryan Wingo at Texas was number 1. And, it's impressive, man. It's fun. I will give credit to Nebraska. They cleaned that up because as wide open as that was, they tried to run a similar type play 2 other times, and they had 2 guys in the hole waiting for them. So they addressed that issue quick. So, and I would imagine other teams will scheme that up to, always kind of be looking out for that.
But then that's where Chip Lindsey, I thought, again, you talk about, I know it was a miss, but because they had run that bubble all year long.
Yeah.
And then to have that turn into a pass, which it doesn't get completed, but the creativity, the ability to put something on film multiple times and then, we're going to burn you with this and it should have been a touchdown, that gives me a lot of excitement for later in the year. I'm watching these QB powers and I'm like, it's got to be some sort of throwback, right? And obviously the low-level staffers and stuff at other schools are watching that and they're writing their notes and stuff before the head coach views the film. They're clearly going to see that too if some guy on a podcast is seeing it, right? But man, it gives you a lot of excitement because I don't know, even winning the national championship, there was some cool stuff and some trick plays, but I think this team with Chip Lindsey, I think they're just baking some things in that are going to burn some people later in the season, maybe in late November. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, it was a great performance. I go back to what I said about Bryce Underwood, though. I don't think he cared. I saw the post-game video with Ed Kongursky. By the way, some friends said they saw him at a rest stop in Iowa. Can we get Ed on a plane, man? Can we get him with the team? This guy is a legend. We love Ed Kongursky. He's our only form of fall camp stuff. But Bryce, man, he looks stoked. He was hyped with his team. He's taking pictures with the bus with Taylor Lewan. Will Compton's bald head. He looks like Connor Stallions now.
He does.
But so I think there's probably a lot of people who are like, well, is Bryce going to be happy? That kid wants to win. First and foremost. And I think he has an understanding of the greater plan at play here. That is, it's not just now. It is building towards, I think, even next year. I still think this year this team can make the playoff. And then who knows what happens.
Yeah.
But I think it's building towards 26, towards 2027, and then ultimately he's going to go number 1 in the draft. I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens because it's going to happen. Very exciting. Very good stuff. Anything else offensively? Bryce did fumble. I think that first drive, he almost broke out of that and picked up a first down. I think he probably felt he could do the same thing, and sometimes you just got to go down. He's got to eat it. That leads to, defense does their job, leads to 3 points there, but unnecessary. But I thought it was a good play by the Nebraska defender, too. I don't think it was anything crazy from Bryce trying to, the ball wasn't, ball was tucked. I think he maybe just needs to, 2 hands on that sucker and just fall down. So, otherwise, I thought it was, ultimately a clean game for Michigan offensively.
We see you say this about Shea all the time. I remember JJ having the issue much, but I didn't run it. Where it's kind of like the RPO look where they put the ball in the running back's belly, and sometimes they give it to him, and sometimes they don't. I feel like he ran those running backs into just 2-3 defenders for 2-3 yard losses. Where, I don't know exactly what the read is there, but with his athleticism, he gets more than 2 or 3 yards, and his running back doesn't get nearly decapitated. So I think that's another area that he can improve on. But I think you said it really, really well. He seems to be mature beyond his years and understanding the grand scheme and doesn't seem to be wrapped up in personal stats. I mean, you don't really ever see him on the sideline sulking or, he just walks up the play. There was that kind of sideline argument that first week. But other than that, he seems to be everything we want, everything we hoped for. Right, he's been fantastic.
I
So
can't believe people thought that was more than it was.
I know.
I can, because we're just dumb as a society. We're getting dumber every moment. So right now, as
Every
we're the
damn minute,
dumbest
yeah.
we've ever been.
No doubt.
And social media just amplifies it. I mean,
For sure.
Well,
people are just rooting against him, right? Rooting against.
Of course. I mean, I see people like Michigan paid $13 million for this, and it's the box score. And it's like, yep, all right. Well, yeah, I know you didn't watch the game, which is a surprise because a certain team in Ohio had a bye week. I'm sure Columbus will be the number 2 viewing, on the viewing list for that game.
For sure.
For the ratings.
Yep.
A couple more things offensively. Jake Guarnera, again, continues to impress me. Really like his game. Max Bredesen's a dog. I mean, we don't say that anymore. He just does what he does. And, I feel like you don't even notice him because it's like, oh, there's 44 doing exactly what he needs to be doing to break a gain of whatever. So, yeah, I really like the offense, and it was explosive. It was fun to watch. It was dynamic. They incorporated Bryce's legs as well as they could have. I think, to your point, Nebraska was pretty intent on not letting him get up to 21 miles an hour ever again this game. But again, even late in the game, his legs were a problem for them. I mean, again, they should have scored on that last drive, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. We don't want to sound like some other fan bases about this game. Yeah. Defensively, I thought, I'm going to do this again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I thought there was one drive that Nebraska really had what they wanted. And that was the first touchdown drive, because that first drive of the game, they get a 15-yard run. Okay, they run for 41 yards, right? Yeah. So Michigan shuts them down. That's sacks included. But even without that, I think Emmett Johnson, he had a 15-yard gain in the first play, and then he had finished with 61 yards. Wasn't a great yards per carry average. So I thought that first drive, Michigan really wreaked a lot of havoc. I thought Barham at edge is a huge win for this program. Yeah. And I think Cole Sullivan coming on as much as he has.
Man, I love him. He's still fun to watch.
I think that allows you to play Barham at edge full time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because Rolder's playing well, Sullivan's playing better, but you got two guys that are, you got one guy who I think is a superstar. Yeah. I don't know how 247 thought he was the 75th best linebacker in the country. I don't know how, because even my idiot self could watch that film and like, that kid's going to play football at a high level.
He's got a weird frame. I can see where
he's rangy.
Yeah, but he's got kind of a weird, lanky frame, and that showed up in the side.
Yeah, he's rangy, he's lanky, right. But I think that helps him. That helped him get the interception.
Yeah.
Has he missed a tackle this year?
I don't know. I could look at the next.
Has he missed an assignment? Like, I don't ever watch a replay, and I'm like, oh, Cole Sullivan busted that. Right. Like, shout out. I love Junior Colson. I could see Junior Colson's bust on the replay. I'm not seeing that with Cole Sullivan, man. So, on that first drive, Raiola does a great job. I mean, again, the Mahomes stuff, I think he plays similar to Mahomes. I think I'm not going to talk about this anymore after this, but I think, the cosplay stuff's weird, but I don't think it's a bad thing to emulate Patrick Mahomes. And I think there's things that he does in his game that are very much like Patrick Mahomes. His escapability, now he did get sacked 7 times, and that's not really a lot of his fault, but he did on that first drive escape, make some plays, get the ball out, right? How many times on that first drive they had 2 missed sacks? They could have had 9 sacks, 10 sacks in this game, but his escapability, I thought it's your scripted drive, but it all ended up being off script. And so I never felt like Michigan got on that drive, except for maybe a couple plays. And then you stuff them on the 4th and 2 because you can't run the ball. So you're going to do, by the way, the little shovel to Kelsey with your tight end, and it gets stuffed. Trey Pierce makes a hell of a play. Trey Pierce. And then your offense is backed up. You have a horrible roll on the punt, and we'll talk about special teams. I didn't think it was as bad as I've watched it more. I don't think it was as bad as I thought it was initially. Just an unfortunate bounce to get the ball to 30. Defense gets a sack. They miss a field goal. And then you go down with a pretty good drive, get a field goal, and then you get a turnover. Score. And I thought that drive – what were your thoughts on that 3rd and 8? I don't know if Michigan was trying to disguise something. They were in a shell or something. They had Brandon Hillman running back on that 3rd and 8.
Metcalf totally blew the coverage there.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah. If we're talking about the same play, like I think
the touchdown on the 3rd and 8 on the post,
100%. Yeah.
The seam route.
Metcalf totally blew the assignment. I watched that 3 times now. He totally blew the assignment.
And that's tough because he's been playing really well. And I'm glad he's in Michigan.
He's been awesome.
Justin and I talked to TJ and Tevis Metcalf, And the one thing, because I don't know if TJ played a lot of nickel, that is the toughest job on the defense. Because you got to know everybody in the secondary's job. So, if he's going to have a bust here or there, I can live with it. We're so used to Mike Sainer still and Dax Hill, two guys who are good NFL nickels that, we don't maybe realize how rare it is to not have hardly any busts. So, and I think Rod playing, I don't remember him making an impact, but I think it was good to get him on the field before the bye.
He didn't make an impact, but you didn't see him. Two things. One, he didn't. It was a quiet 12 snaps. I think he played, but
sometimes
you
didn't
see him exposed, right?
And
let me just say this about, because you said something that was smart about TJ Metcalf and the nickel's responsibilities of knowing where else. To my eye, not knowing what the play call was and what was everyone's responsibilities there were, to me, it looked like Metcalf totally blew it. But I'll leave room to be wrong, and someone was supposed to pick that up that didn't, because he was peeking in the backfield and he was just lost, and then Jair Hill had to kind of get over there and try to pick up for it. But yeah, he's been great.
Let me play devil's advocate, because I think normally you could be like, well, that's typically how a defense should play a specific coverage. I've seen Wink Martindale just not have anybody line up over the center guard.
He does some strange stuff.
Not Raiola, but Dylan Gabriel just ran right through it. So Wink can do some weird stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think, though, I don't know if they wanted to go cover zero there. I think you just drop, three safeties. And
he didn't blitz, so it was just a weird look. I think it was the blown coverage.
It must have been a miscommunication. Yeah. But that was the one drive that they really, I felt, got Michigan a little bit. Otherwise, you have – let's talk about it, because it's not just the defensive players here. It's not just Wink, and Sharon suspended. He had his comments on that today. I don't think he was very happy with that, but we've also seen some game management issues last year. So what, it's third. Well, you're going into the play and it's 3rd and 16 with 50 seconds left, and you don't call a timeout. I don't like that. They can't throw the ball. They can't pass block. Drop 8, you're getting pressure with 3. You get the ball back. Like, yeah, I know you want to go to half because you get the ball at half. I think you have to call a timeout there. All right, if you don't want to call the timeout there, you certainly need to call the timeout with 20 seconds left on 4th and 14 instead of letting them get a free Hail Mary so that they have to punt, and then you can run out the clock. It was just a comedy of errors that compounded upon each other.
Yeah, I get so frustrated with the hindsight fan base reaction on things but in this particular case,
no, in the moment, I'm freaking out.
I'm like, why aren't they calling a timeout here? It seems so obvious, and I don't think that I know that much. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but it seems so obvious. Like, why aren't they calling a timeout?
I play Madden, and I know that, right? Like, get a MGO Blog always jokes about this on their podcast. Hire the best Madden player in the world and have him do your clock management.
You take control, right? Like, calling a timeout says, it casts doubt into them, and it leaves room for, should there be a bad snap? Should there be something weird that happens? Give yourself a chance.
Should you go another 75-yard touchdown run?
Right.
You just had one.
Right. I mean, that was just so stupid.
And then let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about, all right, so you know what? You screw up, Hail Mary, low percentage play. TJ Guy is, what are we doing?
Can I say that about that? The minute we saw them coming out, I immediately thought, I rewound my TV and I thought, who's out there, right? Why? We have a 6'5" safety in Mason Curtis. Why isn't he out there? If you're going to have a defensive edge, an edge dropping coverage, don't we have a 6'9" in Lugard and Dakbe, whatever?
Yeah.
How do you
say it?
Yeah. But why, if that's going to be, why do we not have our 6'5" safety back there to knock that down? Like,
I'd take Peyton O'Leary back there.
Who?
Peyton O'Leary. Let him go back
there.
Sure.
Yeah. That fine.
I mean,
but Browder back, I mean, I don't know how they practice that, but I have to manage.
Did they practice it? Do they know how to defend that?
I mean, we had 5 guys back and 4, and it was just usually you try to block off the front. We were all behind their guy. It was just a mess. But I don't know what TJ Guy is doing back there, and I don't know how.
It's not his. I'm not blaming TJ Guy, by the way.
No. That's nobody is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, instead of being, hey, 17-10, I'm starting to count the scores. I'm like, well, we get 24-10, we get stopped, 31-10. That's how I do in my head.
Yep.
And then it's 17-17, and I'm like trying to keep my cool because I'm in front of my in-laws, and I'm in the truck. My wife's driving so I can watch the game on the way to the reception hall. And, they come out and they go 3 and out. or maybe 4-and-out. I don't know what it was. Maybe first down and then
They went 3-and-out.
Was it 3-and-out?
So,
They get a stop though, so the defense does their job, and then that's when Michigan's able to start moving the ball again. They get that field goal and the McCulley no catch, which I thought was, I don't know how they overruled the side judge there, and I still thought there was green in between the white and the cleat. But I didn't feel like Nebraska really threatened, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they didn't until Michigan shot itself in the foot again with Brandon Hillman. You're 4th and 17.
4th and 17. Come on, bro.
Brandon, I love the way you play football, man.
Love it.
Reckless abandonment. You don't care about your body. I don't know if that's good for you, but I love it as a fan. I mean, this kid loves football. He's getting better every week.
Yeah, I like Hillman a lot, but he's done some bonus stuff there.
Can't do it.
No.
Jair was doing it. They were all doing it. You got to stop that. It's not cool, I don't think. Go celebrate with your teammates. You know what's cool is getting off the field. Yeah. Go get a drink of water, regrouping with your boys. That's cool. Not, doing whatever at the Nebraska sideline when you were 20 yards off the play. Yeah. So then they get that turns into a 55-yard field goal drive. That's the drive where, thank God, Nebraska's field design guys put the red outside the white out of bounds marker at the back of the end zone, because I think that probably confused the receiver there, and thankfully it's a legal touching. Do you remember when we saw that last year, Purdue, Penn State? They did the same thing, black end zone, white out of bounds.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Paint that green, guys. Just a little tip for you. But Michigan gets a little lucky. There was maybe a hold on Jay Sean on that play on that third down. They get the field goal, and then
might be he got turned around, but yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm arguing with guys about 150 milliseconds on whether a human being who can, on average, process visual information at 230 milliseconds, if they can look at the clock being at 0, look to the ball to see it's not snapped, and throw the flag. I'm arguing with Nebraska fans about that, so I don't want to be too crazy over here. Maybe insinuate that might have been a hold when he's got his hand was basically touching his undershirt under his shoulder pad.
We jumped the shark.
I'm trying to be careful, man. I've done 2 podcasts today. Worked 8-9 hours in between. We did the podcast earlier this morning. Been to the gym. I'm wired, man. I'm wired, Brian.
I love it.
But and then they don't really do anything until that last touchdown drive, and you have them 3rd and 19. The 3rd and 22 or whatever it was on a sack. And you got 3 freshmen out there, by the way, which I think, look, they get, the score looks closer, whatever, it maybe gets a little hairy if you fumble the onside kick. It's fine. But, you give that up. I thought the penalty on Earls, I thought was pretty weak. But
understandable.
Yeah. But so you're looking at in the overarching theme of this game, Nebraska throws for 300 yards, runs for 40-some yards. So they have about 350 yards total offense. 50 of those come on one throw on just a self-inflicted wound that Michigan compounded multiple times with poor decision after poor decision. You have a drive where you let them, you're off the field. It was going to be, negative 7-yard drive. Well, they end up getting 60. Right. So then in the context of that game, Michigan with self-inflicted wounds, and yes, it still happened. Yes, the game's still 30-27. Nebraska still put up 350 yards, but there's a lot of things that I think moving forward, this defense can clean up because the pressure they got on Dylan Raiola.
Raiola made a lot of.
I felt bad for him. I'll say this: that's one tough kid because he stood in there. He got stepped on. His head got banged around when he's falling down on his offensive line.
I walked away from that game impressed with him. He was under constant duress. He made some huge, this happened against Oklahoma material where we just are all over a guy. Oklahoma did it 3 times, all on 3rd down. Pain. Raiola did it a handful of times too. When we just had him dead to right.
Missed him.
Yeah, right.
Yep, and he gets like a 20-yard gain. Great throw.
Right.
I mean, the kick is sling the rock.
Yeah, he's
right.
Yeah, he's tough. Yeah,
and I think clearly he's on the upward trajectory. I think by the end of the year, probably going to be looked at as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So I also came away impressed with him. I talked about it. I have a lot of friends from Nebraska, a lot of friends that went to Nebraska. They love Nebraska football. And I see what they see and why they're excited. And this is still a team at Nebraska that can go 9-3, 10-2. Like, their schedule sets up for them pretty well. And I thought they fought and they battled. I'm glad to see Matt Rule lose. Don't like Matt Rule. It is what it is. But I thought, and again, I think a lot, and I've done it myself, so I'm not innocent of this, but I think a lot of the way people, talk about Rail is a little, it's like, he's just a kid. At the end of the day, he's 19, 20 years old, he's playing college football and playing at his dad's school, and he's having fun. And, so, hey, if he wants to, wear the same number and wear the same headband and all that stuff, whatever, man. I mean, it is what it is. But
I could go on. I could go on and on about that. I agree.
I could go both sides. I can see it. I could understand, but he's a kid.
I mean, in as short as I can say it, every kid's. I mean, we were at that age. You're copying somebody.
I wore 68 because of Mike Martin,
right? But everybody's copying somebody, right? Yeah. And so he just happens to be copying the most famous football player on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, so, and he happens to look like him and play like him. And
Bryce sticks his tongue out.
Right? Yeah, right.
He's wearing Jordan. I mean, I'm a grown man and I wear Air Jordans. I don't care, Yeah, so right. Like, do what you got to do. I think, again, some of the stuff I'm like, all right, what are we doing? But
same.
Anyways, kick and play, Michigan, and he kept battling. I mean, because he made a poor decision on the interception. That was, I think, clearly covered too. I don't think Michigan really skies much there. And Jair makes a great play. I thought initially I was mad at Jair because he had the drop pick against Oklahoma. I'm like, pick it off. But then you see the replay. He makes a hell of a play. He doesn't really get a chance to catch it. I think even if he did catch it, he probably would have stumbled the way he would have had to catch it. And then our boy Cole Sullivan just makes a hell of a play.
Pick number 2 of the year. I mean, come on, dude.
Did he have a sack as well, or was he in on? I mean, I know he was in on some stuff. He had multiple, but he blew up multiple screens.
I think it may have had a half a sack. I don't think he had a full sack.
He blew up multiple screens. I mean, he has a pick in week 1. He has a sack in week 1. I mean, the kid.
Fumble recovery week 1.
Yeah. So last week, I don't know. We probably talked about it, but it's Central Michigan, but I don't care. Like, he is keying on, like, was it an option play? I can't remember, but he's keying on the receiver, and then the quarterback tucks the ball, and he's there in a split second. Like, this kid is so smart.
Yeah,
I am so impressed with him.
He's turning into like one of my favorite players, man.
Man, we might get a year and a half of this kid.
Yeah,
because he is athletic too. Like, that was the thing of him coming out of high school, same high school as Chase Winovich. He's athletic. I still don't understand, because everywhere else had him like top 300, which I still think was a little underrated. But 247 had him at 75th. Like 25th in Pennsylvania.
Let it go, dude. Let it go.
I'm not going to let it go, Brian. This guy, I mean, I'm just, again.
I like what I'm seeing from the defense, whether it's Cole Sullivan or, I mean, we're just so deep on the defensive line. What's great about watching this team is, there's been years past where in key situations, if Winovich wasn't on the field or Quiddy wasn't played or Uche was on the field, you're yelling at the screen, like, where are they? The way Wink calls this and the depth that we have, and maybe it's because we don't have any really superstars in the defensive line, per se.
Jayshon Barham.
Barham's coming. But he may be the one exception to this rule. But you're not worried about who's out there. Like, you feel like they all can do it, right? Like,
and they all showed up.
8-9 deep. They all showed up. They all made plays. Man, that's just a big fan.
Benny had a sack and a half. Derek Moore had a sack and a half. I don't have it all up in front of me, but I know Barham influenced a lot of plays. He had a sack. I mean,
the guy that doesn't get talked about and I don't ever see it, but not ever. I rarely see it in the first watch, but usually sometime between Saturday and when we record, I'll watch a replay. Sometimes I'll watch like the 30-minute version, or sometimes I'll watch the hour version, or where they break down stuff. But the guy on our defensive line that I think is putting together a really, really solid year is Enow Etta.
He had a sack.
He's like the 5th defensive tackle. He plays the least of that core group, and every time he's out there, he's making plays. He seems to always be in the right spot. When I notice him, he's making good plays. I've yet to notice him seeming way out of position or filling the wrong gap. A lot of times big runs happen because some guy clearly runs the wrong gap, trying to blow something up that's not there. He just seems like he's quietly putting together. I would love to hear, our defensive line coach and we talk about him to see if they're seeing the same thing. But he seems like he's putting together. He's behind a bunch of veterans. You know what I mean? He's Benny, Payne, Williams, Pierce. I mean, all these guys have been playing football for a while. He's behind those guys, but I think by the end of the year, we could see him playing a lot more minutes.
Can I say that the 2023 class, which is this year's juniors, I think a lot of people have written off. I have too, because you didn't see a lot of contribution in the first 2 years on campus. But you look at Enow Etta, Brandon Hillman, Jair Hill. We've got to scroll a little bit now, Brian. Samaj Morgan, Trey Pierce, Afobe's been playing better. Evan Lincoln's our starting left tackle, and I mean, he's got some minuses, but I've never been like, oh my gosh, this is as bad as last year. And the guy's his third year in his program, right? Like offensive linemen take 3-4 years to develop and to bake. So, I just think, these guys are late bloomers, but, starting to come on, and you need your juniors, to really kind of lead your program and along with the seniors. Justice Haynes is a junior, but he wasn't in this initial class. So thank goodness we got this guy. But again, these guys are really starting to break out. I mean, that's why you don't give up on players after a year or 2 years, right? Like that's why you don't give up on Evan Link after last year, and he's going to continue to get better. And Sprague hasn't been perfect, but again, he's a second-year guy, and he's getting better every week, and you could see the vision with him. So, this team, to your point, Trey Pierce is breaking out from that group. Etta's breaking out. This defensive line has just been, even against Oklahoma, like I think that's tough because you're not going to face a guy like Mateer the rest of the way. I mean, maybe Maiava at USC a little bit. And that's
I haven't seen enough of him. I know he's good, but I've watched enough of him.
He's pretty mobile. I don't think they're going to run him 20 times, but he can definitely break out of a sack and he can make you pay for it. But the rest of the year, there's not really a ton of quarterbacks that are mobile that really threaten me the way that Mateer threatened Michigan. So I think that this defensive line is going to continue to get better. And when they play a quarterback, again, Raiola can escape a little bit, but he's not looking to run. That's the quarterback that this team really is going to feast on, especially when you pair it with a pretty piss-poor offensive line like they did on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tangent, but you talk about that 23 class. What I think about in that is it speaks to, the old school thing of stick around and develop. Like I look at Etta, specifically Etta, like if he gets upset being the 5-star kid that's not got a role yet and leaves, he strikes me as the guy that probably ends up bouncing around to 2-3 programs before it's gone. Stay the course. The portal there's so much wrong with the portal. It helps guys out. Metcalf's a perfect example. He would be playing on the Arkansas team, and now he's one of the best players on a top 25 team. So there's benefits to it, but also just stick around where you're at, stay where your feet are at, and develop. And I don't know. It's
so 12 of their 25 enrollees from that class have transferred.
Yeah.
So, that's the world we live in. But
tell me one of them and there probably is, but tell me one of them that's doing anything like that. You hear their name anywhere. That's starting. I'm not looking at it.
Cam Calhoun.
Probably. Yeah. Very good player. Yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know Ben Hall, Breon Ishmael.
He transferred so fast, like he was never going to be here. He was
DJ Waller went to Kentucky for a bag last year. I don't know how much he's been playing there. There's some other guys here, but anyways, I think there's been a lot of hand-wringing about coaching and development. I do think you're seeing it though. Like there was people after week 2 that were like, oh, we need to get Lamar Morgan out of here. He do you see what this guy's doing? 1, on the recruiting trail, but 2, these guys are getting better. Jair Hill is getting better. Like, what are we? Again, it goes back to just living in the dumbest timeline. We're dumber considerably than we were 15 minutes ago when I complained about it last time, Brian.
We have the obligation. We're 53 minutes in. We have to talk about the best place kicker in America. He was solid again. Zavada. I don't want that to pass. I will say
56-yarder.
I do have to say I feel like you set aside that portion of our special teams. We're 4 games having the worst special team stretch that I can ever remember. We are dead last in the Big Ten in net punting, right? Dead last, right? Michigan should not be dead last in any category ever, right? We have not even had a return that even felt like it was going to go for more than 15, 20 yards. We've had some nice little cute little runs, but they never seem like, oh, he's about to break it. And we've had so many good returners here, right? Yeah. Recently, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, and did not even be a threat. Like every punt return based on the last couple of years. I mean, I'm wincing like, dude, just catch the ball. You know what I mean? Special teams is an issue. And there's just no way around it. And so I don't know how you clean that up. I don't know how you turn the worst punter in the Big Ten into adequate punter midway through the season. And I don't know how you give guys confidence in the return game, but man, do you think of our best teams? We're good in all phases, and I just don't
Yep.
feel like we're that.
Yep. I will be curious to see what happens around December, Brian. I think take a trip to Australia. Go check it out. What's going on in Perth? What's going on in Sydney? I don't know. They play football over there. Nebraska's punter was pretty good, man.
Yeah, man.
Because he's giving you an extra 2 seconds of hang time just rolling to his left, right? We have had some, PTSD from Australian punters. I think that's probably why we haven't had one in 10 years. I thought Hollenbeck after the first one, I clearly he's not punting with the way that you would punt on the plus 45, right? On that play. But I think he gets the most unlucky bounce, and that thing might have bounced back to him if there was nobody there.
Sure. Sure. But take that away. Take that play away.
If you do take that away, Brian, like some people want to, honestly, I don't think he was that bad because he gets one. Now this is a mistake, and who knows if it would have hit the turf, what it would have done. But the Nebraska returner catches it like the 3-yard line. We're there. We tackle him immediately. And there's another one where it looks like he's got some space. Now our boy Cole Sullivan's tracking, so he might have got there. Who made the tackle? He hit him on the leg, and it tripped him up. And I thought that was, great. You get a little lucky, but I also thought it was a great coverage play coming down as the gunner.
Was it Frederick Moore?
I don't know. It was somebody in the number 20s. I can't remember.
Dotson, maybe?
I don't know. It might have been Dotson. But I thought it was a great play to get him down because he maybe would have had another 10, 15 yards. Now, in terms of punt returns, at this point, when Samaj catches it, that is a win. And I remember when Jabril Peppers would return punts, or AJ Henning, or even Tyler Morris, right? So it's a little rough. We've got a full-time special teams coach, and the special teams outside of your kicker are not great. And I know they tried to go get a guy in the portal who ended up, I think, just going pro in something other than sports. I don't know what happened with him. I don't know what went down there. Hudson Hollenbeck's a great kid. He's a good fit for Michigan in terms of the type of person he is. But, that's a position that needs to be upgraded.
Definitely.
Because you look at Michigan State, they may have the best punter in the country. But that dude's booting it over there.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that Michigan's not able to do that. Michigan used to block punts, block field goals, return punts for touchdowns, return kickoffs to the 50 plus, to the 30, whatever. And when's the last time you saw a play on special teams and you're like, wow,
right?
That was, I remember being at the big house when AJ Henning returned his punt. I remember when Blake Corum returned a kick against Western Michigan to like the 20.
Peoples Jones, Jabril.
Yeah, dude, it's a long line. I think Ronnie Bell would have had a really good year returning punts if he hadn't got hurt in 2021. Yeah, but it's a long line of guys. And the thing with Peoples Jones, he was not great immediately. You could see the athleticism when he was a freshman, right? But it took him some time to really kind of pick up the nuance of returning punts. It was a far cry from Jabril, who's, can I say he is the best punt returner at Michigan? I know Desmond Howard, but just in terms of,
I don't know, Steve Rush.
Yeah, I know, but just in terms of like the yardage that he saved by just running up to the ball at the last second and catching it, and then just gently placing the ball down.
We've been pretty spoiled there. Like I watched a little bit longer. We've had some really good returners.
Even Martavis Odoms, man.
Derek Alexander was a stud. We have
before my time a little bit. I was pretty young, so man. It's just that's three phases to football, right? Mm-hmm. And when Michigan was winning the Big Ten, it's because they had a good offense, they had great defense, and they had great special teams, right? So you can get away with 2 out of 3, I guess, but I'd rather have all 3. So that's certainly something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, this teases next week's show. We kind of look and see where the state of the program is through week 4 and what we need to address during the bye week and what we'll look for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah. There's a guy out there. I don't think he'd want to come back to Michigan, though. I think they did him a little dirty, Brian. And he's probably not looking to work under this current athletic department, if I had to be honest. So, and he was leading some damn good special teams when he was at Michigan. I'll say that.
Yes.
So that I'm sure that bridge has
been recruiter too. But yes,
burnt to the ground. Maybe recruited us a guy like Rashawn Gary, some other New Jersey guys. Shout out Chris Partridge, man. I hope he got a ring. Somebody needs to send that man a ring.
No doubt.
We went an hour. We normally don't go an hour, Brian, but I was fired up.
You were fired up, man.
We got on a little earlier than we normally do. And this was fun, man. It's a good win. You're 1-0 in the Big Ten. You go into the bye week, and we'll talk about it next week. But now that trajectory changes on what this team in this season can be. And I'm excited, man. I mean, this is the best time of year. I don't know, not in your neck of the woods, but it's starting to finally cool back down a little bit. We were up in the 80s, back into the 70s, getting into the 60s. You know, it's my truck's a little wet on the windshield in the morning. I got to turn the windshield wipers on. It's getting that time of year, and that's when push comes to shove in football, man. You know, October, like, yeah, your season goes through November, but October, man, that's when that's when the good teams start to separate themselves. So we're getting to that time. Real quick, this weekend, thank God that wedding is not this weekend because we got Penn State, Oregon, we got Georgia, Bama. Do LSU and Ole Miss play this week, or is it next week?
They might. I don't know. I remember seeing the breakdown of games. There was good games, but
They play on Saturday at 3:30. We are in for a treat. Who's winning that game?
Yeah,
I think LSU is extremely overrated.
No,
I think Trinidad.
I think LSU is one of the most overrated teams in the country. No, I said Oregon, Penn State.
I'm taking Oregon.
I think everyone's taking Oregon. Penn State's played nobody, and that's what makes me think.
That's at Penn State, though, right?
I know, right? It's a whiteout.
It's nighttime. We have the little S in the crowd. I got to see it from Aller, man. I mean, I know they won 2 playoff games, but you beat SMU, you beat Boise. All right.
Yeah.
Look at the teams that won national championships who they had to beat in the 14 playoff.
Right.
You got to beat Alabama. You got to beat Georgia. You got to beat, Ohio State. You got to beat Michigan. You got to go beat those big time teams. Right. And I got to see it.
From Boise State, 100%.
Yeah. No disrespect to those programs, but I got to see it from Aller. I've been hearing about it for 3 years now. I got to see. I see glimpses.
No doubt.
He's a talented kid. You see why they love him.
Yeah.
I got to see him put it together for 4 quarters, man. I got to see him put it together for a whole season. So I'm going to take.
And same for Dante Moore in a big game. Like, he's looked really good, but he hasn't played anybody.
Yeah. No, he's looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Oregon. I'm going to take Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss, actually. I think it's how you say it.
He's looked great.
And I'm going to take the Dogs because I still am not buying into DeBoer's Alabama, Brian. I'm not going to be fooled.
Yeah. I don't think, I think Georgia rolls.
Well, this was fun, man. I could talk college football all day. You know that. I know you could too. So I want to say thank you so much to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. I did not mention them in the first part of the podcast. I'm going to have to go edit that in there probably. But I want to thank Feldman, one of our, very just enjoy partnering with them. They're such a fun time at the tailgates. They always bring out cool vehicles.
Beautiful dealership,
that I side eye, and my wife looks at me and is like, no. But I look at them and they look at me. The truck looks at me. So, if you guys, again, are in need of a new vehicle, go hit up Jason and the guys over at Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. They'll hook you up. They go out a lot of the players go through them. That's maybe our quarterback gets his supercar that makes me nervous. But hey, go get yourself one of them C8 Corvettes. Also want to say thank you to Woodson Whiskey, Mason Blitz. I had snagged 2 bottles from the tailgate, Brian, to bring home with me, and then I did not grab them. And so I need to meet up with Justin or do something because we're partnered with them and I'm not going to pay for it. I want the free stuff. That's the perks. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go buy it. I would if I wasn't partnered with them. But the Mason Blitz, man, you talk about you want a really good cinnamon whiskey in the fall, dude. That right there. That's the best cinnamon whiskey I've ever had. Like, it's not like that syrupy, it's like some other cinnamon whiskeys out there. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. I said I wasn't nervous, and I typically will have a Woodson whiskey on the rocks during a game. And when I got a little close to the end, I poured myself another one.
Hey, man,
I normally don't.
You got to do what you got to do to get through these tense moments, man. That's what makes college football so great. So thank you so much to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Thank you so much to Woodson Whiskey. Really appreciate the partnership. For us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all social media. You can check us out at Blue by 90 on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.